with the Rangers and the Astros. How good is Jose Altuve year in, year out? Pretty remarkable. Anyway, great to have you here on the stream. We got college tomorrow. We got the NFL on Sunday. Of course, it began last night with the Jags holding on to beat the Saints, the Kings. Their preseason is in the books, and now we fast forward to Wednesday, game one in Salt Lake City against the Jazz, and then the home opener is here coming up on Friday. All right. What do you think for the Kings? All right. Now that you've seen preseason, what are the numbers? Paul gets right into it and says, hey, guys, still think the Kings win 50 plus? Just curious. I'm thinking about 47 wins, like you say, if the Kings don't score as expected. All right. I'm thinking, I said 50 before preseason. I'm going to say high 40s. I don't think 50 is going to be the number. All right. I'm a little worried about the shooting guard position. I don't see any improvement in defense. Again, it's a very small sample size, and I don't want to get carried away with 5 preseason games, but I don't think Sasha Vezenkov is going to be all that. I think he'll help in some games, and I think other games he'll be invisible, and you just have to kind of deal with that. I think more importantly than the number of wins is what place will they finish in the West? Because that, to me, is the key. You want to be, in one of the top 4 spots. If you did not check out my podcast today, I went down memory lane with the Kings. Check it out on If You Don't Like That. You can go to my website, grantnapier.com, or if you don't like that.com, or your favorite podcast platform. Check out my podcast today as I compare this era of the Sacramento Kings with the one that started in the late 90s and carried over to the turn of the century. All right. Cody is chiming in. He's got the Kings with 43 wins. Don't pay attention to preseason. Again, injuries. Excited for Wednesday. That's when it all starts. Absolutely. Colby Jones, I thought, did have a good camp. Be very interesting to see what happens now when teams get some film on him and they break him down and scout him. That's also part of this, okay? NBA teams get a look at players, then you get scouting reports, and teams will always try to take advantage of your weaknesses, all right? And all players have weaknesses, some not as many as others, but scouting is a big part of that, all right? Now, someone said, can see Herter losing some minutes to him. If Kevin Herter does not start playing better, I would totally agree with you there. I mean, Kevin Herter's got to be more consistent, or he's not going to be on the floor, particularly in the fourth quarter. All right. What about NFL this weekend? What do you like? What are the games? Again, last night, Jacksonville got the week started with a win against the Saints. You've got a lot of injuries impacting the games this weekend. I think the game on Sunday night is a really interesting matchup with Miami and Philadelphia. So keep the questions coming. We love the chat line here. I hope the Kings are a better team this year, even if they have a worse record than last year. Well, they should, because Fox, I think, really came into his own last year. Keegan Murray should be better than he was last year, and last year he was pretty good. So I believe that they might be better, and yet they may not have as many wins. Very good point, Someone said, could Herter end up on the trading block? Sure, anything's possible, anything's possible. Absolutely. All right, Cody, going back to the NFL, Jalen Hyatt, maybe he gets loose deep versus the Commanders. Cody, in order to throw the ball deep, you have to protect your quarterback, right? Correct? Takes your receivers a few seconds to run down the field, even someone like Hyatt. Have you watched any of the Giants games lately, Cody? Have you seen the quarterbacks having any time to throw the ball deep? I don't think so. I really don't. I really don't. All right. Let's get to some more questions. All right. Al Michaels calling Jacksonville games as bad news. Well, he's not calling Jacksonville. He called Jacksonville and New Orleans. He's doing a Thursday night package. I think Al has dropped off dramatically. He doesn't have the energy. I don't. It's almost like he's not taking these games very seriously, and I know that he is. But he's 77 now. He's not a spring chicken anymore. I think Al's really dropped off. I don't think he and Kirk Herbstreit are good together at all. They don't have chemistry. I don't think it's a good pairing. And I think Kirk Herbstreit is outstanding in what he does. And Al Michaels has always been, one of the very, very best of all time. I don't think they're that good. Al has definitely lost a step, so to speak. Okay. All right. This question. What do I think about Devontae Adams calling to be more involved in Oakland's offense? Well, he should be. He's the best player on the team. But it's not always easy to get the ball to a wide receiver who's being double teamed on almost every play. So you got to keep that in mind. Cody agrees with me. Herbstreit I do like, but the pairing not the best. They lack chemistry, don't they? They're just not very good together, in my opinion. All right. I want to see more of Chris Berman. I don't know what happened to him. Well, he's been doing it forever. He is Mr. ESPN. Chris is a horrible, horrible play-by-play announcer. It's terrible. Terrible. Awful baseball announcer. Awful when he filled in a couple of years on Monday Night Football. Not filled in, but when they had the doubleheader, and they quickly removed him because he was awful. Phenomenal studio host. Phenomenal studio host. I remember when I was working at ESPN Radio in the late 90s back in Bristol, and Chris would come in sometimes on our game night show on Sunday nights after he got done with all of his NFL work, because we went to 1 a.m. East Coast time on Sundays, and Chris would come into the studio, and he was great. You know what else was great about Chris? He always remembered your name. Like, he was very good at remembering names. He'd come in, "Hey, Grant, how you doing?" I mean, and it was a thrill to be able to interview him on ESPN Radio on game nights. That was a lot of fun. I used to do that with John Clayton and Tony Bruno and Chuck Wilson and Joe D'Ambrosio. Those were really fun times. As a matter of fact, I'll never forget, during the World Series when the Yankees were playing the Padres, I was watching the World Series games with Dennis Eckersley. Eck was great. Used to hang out in the room with the TVs, and me and Eck would be in there watching the World Series, and he'd be breaking it down for me. Loved Eck. Great guy. Absolutely great guy. All right. Good stuff. Grant, any chance you can use the ESPN NFL primetime soundtrack on your podcast in the future? We'll see. We'll see. All right. I don't know. All right. We got Steven here. Grant, big time fan of you and Jerry. In hindsight, if you could mail Marvin Bagley Jr. to the North Pole, but it means Kings get Luka, do you ship him to the North Pole? Yeah, I would, but then you won't have De'Aaron Fox. And I think the Kings without De'Aaron Fox, they're a completely different looking team. So, yeah, of course I would take Luka over Marvin Bagley now. Of course, everyone would. But you don't have Fox then. So keep that in mind. All right? There you go. Does anybody think that name dropping is white privilege? All right. Does anybody think that? What do you think? Does anybody think that? Who's that? Viad from Seattle. Viad, what's it like to be an idiot? Why don't you tell everybody here on the stream what it's like to be an idiot? Seriously. Unbelievable. And also, you might want to get in right now before I block your ass for being a moron. All right. What do you think, folks? Should I just get him right off the or should I let it roll for a little while? What do you think? Unbelievable. All right. Gone. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you very much. I would agree with you. That is a detractor. I did. He's gone. All right. There we have it. Boot the troll. He's gone. I love doing that. Love doing that. Love sharing my stories. Love doing that. It was a lot of fun. I did that back in 98, the fall of 98. And I was going to Bristol 3 times a week, 3 times a month on the weekends. And, I don't know if you realize this, but Hartford, Connecticut, and Bristol's about 20 minutes south of there. It's not exactly around the corner from Sacramento, but I enjoyed that. I absolutely enjoyed that. Love the questions. Glad to have you here on the stream. And don't forget, for all of your plumbing needs and repairs. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. Go to sacserviceplumbing.com or call the number on your screen. Remember, they've got 24/7 service for you. An emergency in the middle of the night, no problem. That's New Works Plumbing at sacserviceplumbing.com. They've got a fix for you. All right, NFL this weekend, if you want to talk about any of the matchups, baseball with the Phillies going on. Grant, not sure who starts for the Raiders, but takes on the game. Well, Justin Fields is not playing. I like the way the Raiders are playing right now. I think they'll win this game at Soldier Field in Chicago. I really do. I like them. I picked them in my pick'em pool. I think defensively they're going to be able to keep Chicago off the board with a backup quarterback. I'm not that impressed. I thought that Chicago had a great game against Washington. The week before, they blew the big lead against Denver, and they had a bad loss last week. But I think the Raiders win. All right? I think they win this week. I really do. All right, as far as ESPN, I don't know. The question is, where do you think ESPN ends up? Rumor is that Disney is shopping them around or looking to sell. I don't know. Don't care. Doesn't matter to me where they end up, who buys them or what have you. Does not matter to me at all. All right, don't forget, we've got a busy week coming up next week. Monday, 3 o'clock, Sean Salisbury. All right, Wednesday, 4 o'clock, right here, Jerry Reynolds. And then at halftime of the Kings and the Jazz, Jerry Reynolds. Ryan will be doing the pregame show on Wednesday. I'll be joining Ryan to do the halftime with Jerry and the postgame, and then we'll do it all over again on Friday, a week away, folks. Can you believe that? Less than a week. I mean, if you think about it, Wednesday and then Friday, the first two games at Utah and home against Golden State. There you have it. All right. As far as Cody goes, Grant, you think Foster Moreau, Saints tight end, has got to make that catch, right? Well, you know what, Cody? Nobody's perfect. Guys strike out with the bases loaded. Guys drop pop-ups. Guys fumble. Quarterbacks make bad reads and throw interceptions. Officials make bad calls. Players miss free throws with the game on the line. He dropped the ball, Cody. It's not the first guy in the world that dropped the ball. So does he have to make the catch? Well, yeah, I mean, he's supposed to make the catch, but that's why we watch the games, Cody, right? There you have it. There you have it. How high do I rank Max Crosby? He's one of the very best defensive players in the game. Where you rank him, 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know, but he's one of the very best. You have to have him in the conversation. James wants to know Rockets over under 38. Definitely under 38. In the West, I know they retooled their team, but I think they're definitely under 38. If they're over 38, they're going to be one of the top 10 teams in the West, and I don't think they're there yet. All right? Somebody wants to know if I ever met Bill Walsh. That's a great question. I don't know if I ever talked to Bill face-to-face, but I remember one of the biggest thrills early in my career was when I moved to Sacramento in the summer of 87. And I went to Rockland where the 49ers had training camp and went out there to get interviews and to see Joe Montana, Randy Cross, Roger Craig, Brent Jones, Rice, all of those tremendous players. And then I remember going inside for the Bill Walsh Daily press conference. And I remember being in the room and watching Bill Walsh was pretty amazing to me. And little did I know that the Giants and the 49ers would have some epic games at the stick during the latter part of that decade. And I would be standing on the sidelines watching those phenomenal matchups with Bill Parcells against Bill Walsh. I don't recall ever meeting Bill or being one-on-one with Bill, but being in the same room with Bill and watching him and asking questions during the press conference was pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. I mean, we're talking about one of the legendary figures in the history of the National Football League. So that was always a thrill for me going up to Rockland and being around that group of players. And I became very close with Keena Turner, the outstanding linebacker during that era. And Keena and I would end up working together for many years doing San Jose SaberCats games. And I love Keena. I mean, he's just a phenomenal human being. And I played in his golf tournament. And we used to just laugh and laugh because I used to kid him all the time, about the 49-3 Giants beat down of the 49ers the year that the Giants won the Super Bowl. And then Keenan come right back at me. Yeah, well, you forget about this game at the Stick and that game. And we used to go back and forth. And I always remember talking to Keenan about how I thought the 49ers defense got overshadowed by the 49ers offense because there was one of the great offenses in the history of the National Football League, with Roger Craig and Tom Rathman and Brent Jones and Rice and Taylor and Montana. But, that defense was outstanding, led by Ronnie Lott. And they were really good. And Keena Turner, really good. They had a lot of good players on that field on the defensive side, but they got overshadowed by that 49ers offense. But Keena Turner, one of the real good guys that I've ever met in this business. Have I ever interviewed Bill Russell? Yeah, of course. He was the coach of the Kings when I moved to Sacramento. And so I was around Bill Russell on a daily basis. So I interviewed Bill many times. The thing about Bill is you would ask Bill a question and he would look at you with this stare. And then he would burst into the Bill Russell cackle. So you would ask him a question and he would go like this. He'd go into that. I can't do the Bill Russell cackle, but it would just freak you out. You're like, oh my God, I just asked him a really stupid question. Yeah, I used to interview Bill all the time. Bill hated being interviewed, but he had to. And I'll never forget this. And I've always shared this story. And if this happened today in this world that we live in this country of woke cancel culture nonsense and how messed up the United States is right now, I'll never forget this. Never. So once a month at the Skyline Lounge at Arco, they had a Kings luncheon for Kings fans. Okay. And it was very well attended. And again, Bill was there, Jerry Reynolds, and they would speak to the fans during and after lunch, and there was a Q&A. And one of the Kings fans asked Bill about his playing days in Boston and what it was like to be on the Celtics and in Boston. And once again, Bill paused. And he waited about 5 seconds to answer the question. And he said, and I am not misquoting here, word for word, this is what Bill Russell said. I'd rather be in jail in Sacramento than be the mayor of Boston. Think about that. I'd rather be in jail in Sacramento than be the mayor of Boston. I'm not misquoting him. That's what he said. Could you imagine if that happened today in this era of social media? And that would be front page news. That would be on every show in America. It would be the lead story on all the national sports shows. Think about that for a minute. That's how Bill answered that question. And I will never, ever forget that. Haunted Horse says, oh, wow. It was a wow. It was a wow. And I remember talking to Jerry Reynolds about that after. I go, man, I can't believe Bill said that. He goes, yeah. And Bill and Jerry got to be very close. Bill had a lot of horror stories involving racism when he played in Boston. And it obviously stuck with him despite all of the great years that he had in Boston and all the championships. That had such an impact on what he went through being a black athlete in Boston during that era of the 50s and the 60s. And that's how he answered his question. Pretty amazing, huh? Good question. Is Draymond Green going to be available next week? He's technically questionable for their opener on Tuesday with an ankle. So if he doesn't play Tuesday against Phoenix, they don't play again until Friday. I got to believe that he'll play against Sacramento, but that's unofficial. All right. This question: how would the '95 Bulls do in this era of basketball? Could they have a three-peat in this era? 100% they would have a three-peat in this era. It would be no different. The Bulls in that era would still be great in this era. You want to know why? Because the Bulls in that era, if they were playing in this era, would have all the modern training and all of the things that all the athletes today have: nutrition, workout regimen, everything. All right. Ice baths. We can go on and on. Yeah, they would be great today. Absolutely. And you want to know why they would be great today? Because they had Michael Jordan. That's why. There you have it. So, yes, they would be really, really good today. Good question, by the way. Very good question. Hey, don't forget about Bennett's. They are rocking and rolling with their phenomenal menu of prime seafood and steak. Their prime seafood is awesome. Their steaks, I love the New York strip. It is so good. The New York prime, oh my gosh. I get it. I get it whenever I can when I'm there. I love the redfish. Bennett's West Side Grill at the Blue Oaks Town Center in Rockland. Check it out. Just go to bennettsrestaurants.com and you can make a reservation, check out their menu and more. That's Bennett's West Side Grill in Rockland. All right, keep the questions coming. We get you ready for the weekend and Kings basketball. Again, Monday, Sean Salisbury at 3 o'clock, and then Jerry Reynolds at 4 o'clock on Wednesday, and then he'll join us at halftime on Wednesday, and then we'll get you right into Friday and the Kings and the Warriors. I'll tell you, there are a lot of people really down on Kevin Huerter, huh? It's like everybody seems like they want him to go. Can we at least wait till the season starts? I know you asked me a very fair question, and I'm not jumping on you. It's a very fair question, and I need to answer it. I'm going to say yes, he will be. Okay. And again, it's a very fair question. He has not looked good. He did not play well in the postseason. He has not had a good preseason. The question is, if you don't have Kevin Huerter, then who are your two guards? Is Malik Monk really a starter? Is Chris Duarte a starter? I need to see more of Duarte, you know? What do I recommend at Bennett's? I love if you're doing steak, the New York is phenomenal. The way they slice it and serve it, it's great. I mean, great. I love the redfish, but I've never really had anything bad there. Boy, if they have the wild mushroom soup, they don't have it every day, but I love that. If they have the wild mushroom soup, I get that as a starter all the time. But it's great, great. Okay, this question. Grant, will you be attending any of Paige's son's game, Andre, at Stanford? No, I will not, but I was just with Paige a couple days ago, and he and I talked quite a lot about his son, and Paige is going to be going to most of the games, home and on the road, and he is super excited to watch his son. I probably will not. I mean, could I go to a game? Maybe, but I'm really excited for the Stojakovic family. It's great. Really is great, Why not Mitchell and Fox in the backcourt? They both shown that they can defend bigger guards. I don't see it. I mean, maybe at times, but as a starting backcourt, no. No, I don't see that at all. I don't see that at all. All right, love the questions right here. And again, looking forward to next week, Wednesday, Friday, opening week. Of course, the NBA opens up on Tuesday. And I think when you look at the Western Conference, it's going to be very surprising. Here are my question mark teams this year. Dallas, don't know if Luka's going to play in the opener. So I think Dallas is right there. The Clippers, how much is Paul George and Kawhi Leonard going to play? All right. So those two teams jump right out at me. Minnesota, I look at their roster and I'm like, wow, they're really good, but they were very disappointing last year. Memphis, what impact will Marcus Smart have on the team? And assuming that John Morant comes back and is John Morant, could that team be a top 2 or 3 team in the West? And then a team that I'm really keeping my eye on, Oklahoma City. I think they got one of the best players in the league in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I like their roster. We don't know how good Chet Holmgren is going to be. Keep an eye on the Oklahoma City Thunder. All right? Keep an eye. How about this, Grant? Can I ask the important question? I guess you can. I guess you can. You can ask the important question. I will let you do that, whatever that may be. Yes. Important question. Let's hear it. All right. Are the Suns the favorites to come out of the West? If they don't have any injuries, which I can't imagine, Durant, Beal, I mean, those guys get hurt all the time now. Could they? They could. But you really believe that they're going to be able to go through the season without missing any significant amount of time? I don't see that. You know, I really don't see that. I'd be surprised. The attrition. Beal hasn't played a full season since he's been in freaking grade school. All right. No, they have a really good-looking roster. They have a really good-looking roster, but I don't see it. Hey, I want to talk to you about Blazona Development, and they have a new project in Calusa, all right? And this Sunrise Landing is incredible if you were thinking of living in the Calusa area, relocating. Phase 1 is already sold out. They have 6 phases. They're in phase 2, and there are 6 different types of models that you can choose from at Sunrise Landing in Calusa. Just go to calusasunrise.com. Check out their website. That is calusasunrise.com. Check out their website. You can look at the models and everything else that they have going on. Let me put it on screen for you. There you have it, calusasunrise.com. A new project from Blazona Development. Very happy to have them here representing on If You Don't Like That. All right, let's get to a couple more questions before I wrap it up for the weekend. Wow, Rhino, you got people chatting to you on the chat line. You know, here we go. Yes, we got people cheering for Rhino. Here he is. Isn't Madden supposed to be blocked? Is he supposed to be blocked? Is that right? You'll have to help me with that, Ryan. Is he supposed to be blocked? I'll keep an eye on that. All right. You know what? You're right. I am going to block him. Thank you, Ryan. What would I do without you, buddy? You know? There we go. Let's see. Madden, goodbye. Madden, this is what happens when you're an idiot. Bye-bye. Bye. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate that. All right. Rhino is on the stream. What's the deal with everyone jumping on Rhino today, man? He's on the stream. He's a big-time participant. Thank you, buddy. Thumbs up is what I like. You know? Absolutely. So easy. Anyway, so we're going to wrap up this segment. I want, now that you've watched preseason and you've seen Sasha Vezenkov and somewhat of Chris Duarte, put a number up on the screen. How many wins for the Sacramento Kings this year? I said 50 a couple of weeks ago. I am now going to say 46 wins. Okay? 46 wins. Give me some numbers. Where are you going with that? 46 wins. All right? 46 wins. Thank you, Manny. Appreciate it. All right, we got 45. We got 51. Paul chimes in with 47. Keith with 53. Ray's got 52. David, 45. Patrick, 45. Cody, 43. All right? No, they're not a homer. We're asking people for their opinion. Manny's got 50. We got 47 right here. I like all the responses here. We got 46 from Mike. That's what I got, Mike. I got 46. But anything above 45 gives you a decent chance in this Western Conference to be fourth, all right? So ESPN Plus had 42. Why would I care about what ESPN Plus had? 52. We've got 48 chiming in if no injuries. What does that say? Raider worm? Is that what you got there, buddy? Can't really see that. Raider worm. You got 48 if no injuries. All right. We got 52. So we're all we're in the same neighborhood. We're all in the same neighborhood with the number of wins. So that's good stuff. All right. Next week, I'm going to tell you one more time. First of all, if you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe, because then you'll know when all of our content is going to be on. So hit the subscribe button. It would mean a lot to us. Hit the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. It's how the analytics work in this new world of YouTube and everything else. It means a lot. Okay. And next week's going to be wall to wall. And don't forget, Monday, Sean Salisbury, Wednesday, Jerry Reynolds, both at 4 o'clock and on at halftime with Ryan and myself. And then Friday, the Kings home opener and Golden State. Well, thank you. I love sharing my stories and the Bill Walsh, and you have a great weekend too. You take care. We'll talk to you Monday right here on If You Don't Like That. Bye-bye, everybody.